Your body is a precision-tuned antenna, built to receive and transmit frequencies that most people have completely forgotten exist. That's not metaphor, that's engineering. Right now, you're probably feeling it. That low hum of static behind your thoughts, the scatter, the sense that something is slightly off frequency, and you can't locate the source. Ancient initiates had the full operating manual for this system. The CIA declassified pieces of it, then buried the summary. Everything changes the moment you learn to conduct yourself. There is a pattern running underneath civilization. It moves beneath every mystery school, every sacred text, every initiatory tradition that survived long enough to leave a mark on history. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And I want to be precise about that. This isn't a feeling or an interpretation. It's a unified protocol. The same mechanism, encoded in different languages, different symbols, different ritual structures, across cultures that never spoke to each other. The Egyptians had a version. The Vedic seers had a version. The Pythagorean brotherhoods had a version. The Hermetic alchemists had a version. One protocol, infinite translations. Now, here's what makes this moment different from every other time someone has gestured at ancient wisdom and asked you to take it on faith. The CIA Gateway Process Report, a declassified government document written by analyst Wayne M. McDonnell in 1983, confirms the core mechanism is real, not spiritually real, mechanically real, measurable, reproducible. The document describes how human consciousness interacts with energy fields in ways that produce verifiable, repeatable shifts in perception and physical function. They studied it, they validated it, and then the summary page went missing from the declassified release for decades. Think about that for a moment. I'm going to take you through this entire system today. Not a surface pass, the full architecture. And I need you to stay with me through all of it, because the piece that will genuinely reframe your understanding of your own body, the mechanism that ties every ancient tradition to modern neuroscience in a single coherent picture that arrives deep in this guide. Don't shortcut to it. The context is the key. You cannot unlock the final layer without walking through the ones beneath it. This is the last energy control guide you will ever need. Not because it covers everything that's ever been written, but because it hands you the one thing that makes all the other information coherent. A map, a working map. And sovereignty is the destination. Stay with me. Start with the layer closest to your skin, or rather, closest to the planet you're standing on. The Earth breathes, literally. The space between the surface of the Earth and the lower edge of the ionosphere forms a cavity, and inside that cavity, electromagnetic waves pulse at a measurable, stable frequency, 7.83 Hz. That number is not arbitrary. It is the heartbeat of the biosphere. It is what physicists call the Schumann resonance, named after the German physicist Winfried Otto Schumann, who mathematically predicted it in 1952 and confirmed it shortly after. The planet has been broadcasting this signal continuously for as long as there has been an atmosphere to carry it. And your brain? Your brain oscillates in exactly the same range. The alpha-theta boundary, the frequency band your brain enters during deep relaxation, meditation, and the hypnagogic state between waking and sleep, sits between 7 and 12 Hz. The overlap with the Schumann fundamental frequency is not coincidence. It is co-evolution. Your nervous system developed inside this field. It was calibrated to it the way a tuning fork is calibrated to a specific note. You are not separate from the Earth's electromagnetic environment. You are a resonant structure within it. So what does that actually mean for your body? The research gets specific here. Dr. Nikolai Jacobi and subsequent researchers studying geomagnetic biology have documented that fluctuations in the Schumann field correlate directly with changes in human physiology at the cellular level. Specifically, the field modulates calcium ion flux across cell membranes. Calcium isn't just a mineral in your bones. Inside your cells, calcium ions are messengers. They trigger enzyme activity. They regulate gene expression. They govern the electrical firing of neurons. When the Schumann field shifts, your cellular signaling shifts with it. The planet's electromagnetic pulse is literally writing into your neurons in real time. Now here's the question that should be forming in your mind. If this signal is constant, if it's always been there, why doesn't everyone feel coherent? Why does the modern experience feel like static instead of signal? The answer is interference. Electromagnetic pollution, the frequencies generated by power grids, wireless networks, and the dense electromagnetic smog of urban environments, does not simply coexist with the Schumann field. It competes with it. Your nervous system is trying to entrain to a 7.83 Hz signal, while being bombarded with frequencies that are orders of magnitude more powerful and completely dissonant. The scatter you feel isn't a personal failing. It is entrainment disruption. The signal is there, the noise is louder. The ancient builders understood this, not in the language of physics, but in the language of architecture and sacred space. The pyramid chambers at Giza have been acoustically and electromagnetically analyzed by researchers, including John DeSalvo, and teams using ground-penetrating radar and resonance testing. What they found is that the interior chambers, particularly the King's Chamber, are tuned. The dimensions create standing wave resonance at frequencies that correspond to the alpha-theta range, the same range as the Schumann fundamental. These were not tombs, they were coherence chambers. Space is deliberately engineered to strip away interference and allow the human nervous system to lock onto the planetary signal. The initiate who entered that chamber was not performing a religious ceremony. They were stepping into a calibration device. The decode move here is essential, so I want to say it plainly. Chaos is not internal. The sense of fragmentation, the inability to focus, the feeling that your energy is leaking in every direction without return, that is not a character flaw, and it is not a chemical imbalance. It is entrainment disruption. Your antenna is functional. The environment has been progressively flooded with noise that makes coherent reception nearly impossible. Ancient civilizations built entire architectural systems to solve this problem. They knew the solution required removing interference before amplifying signal. You cannot tune an instrument in a room full of competing sound. Which brings us to the question of what happens when coherence is restored. When your brainwave frequency genuinely locks onto the Schumann resonance, when the interference drops and the entrainment holds, the physiological cascade is measurable. Cortisol regulation normalizes. Inflammatory markers shift. Cognitive integration between hemispheres improves. The subjective experience is what every meditator and every initiate across every tradition has described in their own vocabulary. Clarity, expansion, the sense of being fully present in a body that feels like it belongs to you again. The Schumann resonance is the first layer. It is the ground frequency. Everything built above it depends on this foundation being stable. But here's what they don't tell you, and this is the piece that the gateway process document circles around without ever fully naming. The Earth's field is not the only signal your body is generating. There is a second broadcaster inside you, one that the ancient traditions considered more powerful than any external field. And it has been hidden in plain sight, inside your own chest. There is a broadcaster inside your chest that most people never learn to operate consciously. And once you understand what it is actually doing, every spiritual tradition that ever pointed to the heart as the center of human power will suddenly make complete anatomical sense. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field. That is not a metaphor. It is a measured, documented, reproducible scientific fact. And here is what makes it extraordinary. That field is 60 times stronger in amplitude than the field produced by your brain. 60 times. The organ you were taught to associate with emotion and vulnerability is, in electromagnetic terms, the most powerful signal generator in your entire body. It broadcasts outward from your chest in every direction. It extends beyond your skin. It fills the space around you, and it is carrying information. This is the layer most people skip entirely. They talk about mindset, about thoughts, about belief. And those things matter. But the signal your heart is broadcasting is doing something your thoughts cannot do alone. It is coordinating every biological system you have. Heart rate variability, hormonal rhythm, immune response, neural coherence. All of it is being organized by the field your heart emits. You are not just a thinking creature. You are a broadcasting organism. So here is the question that cuts through everything. If your heart is already transmitting a field, what determines the quality of that transmission? The answer is coherence. When your heart rhythm is erratic, fragmented, stressed, the field it broadcasts is disordered. Every system downstream receives that disordered signal. Your immune function drops, your cognitive clarity narrows, your perception contracts. But when your heart rhythm enters a coherent state, smooth, ordered, rhythmically consistent, the field it broadcasts becomes organized. And every system in your body begins to synchronize to that organized signal. Your brain entrains to it. Your hormones align with it. Your nervous system shifts from threat response into something researchers call regenerative mode. The HeartMath Institute has been measuring this scientifically for decades. Their work is peer-reviewed, reproducible, and almost completely absent from standard education. They documented that coherent heart states measurably shift the electromagnetic field the body produces. They documented that this field extends far enough to affect other people in the same room. And they documented that the transition into coherence is learnable. It is not a gift, it is a skill. Now, here is where the ancient traditions become impossible to dismiss. Every major civilization that left a substantial record pointed to the heart as the sacred center of human existence. The Egyptians weighed the heart against the feather of Ma'at in the judgment of the soul, not the brain, not the mind, the heart. The Vedic tradition placed the Anahata chakra, the heart center, at the exact midpoint of the energy body, the pivot around which all other centers rotate. The Sufi mystics called the heart the seat of divine perception. Medieval Christian mystics wrote about the heart as the organ through which the divine presence is actually experienced, not merely contemplated. These were not poets using convenient symbols. They were mapping something real. And here is the decode move that changes everything. Love is not an emotion. Love is electromagnetic coherence. Let that land for a moment. When the mystics across every tradition described love as the highest state a human being could achieve, they were not speaking sentimentally. They were describing a measurable condition of the body's most powerful electromagnetic transmitter. A heart in coherence broadcasts a field of extraordinary order. That field influences everything it touches, other bodies, other nervous systems, the space itself. What the traditions called love, the heart math researchers are now measuring in millivolts. Same phenomenon, different instruments. This is why every genuine wisdom tradition placed the cultivation of heart states at the center of its practice, not because it was poetic, because it was the most powerful act of environmental engineering a human being could perform. You change your heart state, and you change your broadcast. You change your broadcast, and you change the field you are living inside. You are not separate from your environment. You are in electromagnetic dialogue with it, every moment. And the most powerful signal in that dialogue is coming from your chest. But here's what the mainstream conversation still hasn't caught up to. The heart is not just a receiver tuning to external fields. It is not just responding to the Schumann resonance, to geomagnetic shifts, to the collective noise of the world around it. It is generating a field powerful enough to influence all of those interactions, which means there is a deeper layer of agency available to you than anyone in a standard biology class ever suggested. And that layer involves a structure in your skull that was considered so significant, so central to human consciousness, that civilizations built entire cosmologies around it. There is a small gland at the geometric center of your brain, the size of a grain of rice, and it contains something that should not be there, by any conventional account of what the brain is supposed to be doing: magnetite crystals. Biologically manufactured magnetic material sitting inside the pineal gland, the same material found in the navigational systems of migratory birds and dolphins, creatures that orient themselves by sensing the Earth's magnetic field. Your brain contains that same sensing apparatus. This is not fringe speculation. It is published neuroscience. And it raises a question that conventional medicine has never satisfactorily answered. Why is it there? Here is the layer this opens. The pineal gland is not simply a melatonin pump, though it does regulate melatonin. It is not simply a circadian timer, though it does govern biological rhythm. It is a magnetosensitive organ. When the Earth's magnetic field shifts, and it shifts constantly, with solar activity, with geomagnetic storms, with the Schumann resonance fluctuations we discussed earlier, the pineal gland responds. It alters its output of melatonin. It shifts serotonin conversion. And with those shifts come changes in time perception, in the quality of dream states, in the felt sense of inner space that contemplatives across every tradition have described as the ground of mystical experience. So here is the question that cuts to the center of this. If your pineal gland is responding to magnetic fields from outside your body, what happens when you learn to deliberately alter the signal it's receiving? The answer is that you gain access to states of consciousness that most people only encounter by accident. Robert Monroe spent decades researching exactly this mechanism. His hemispheric synchronization audio technology, developed through the Monroe Institute and documented in his own published research, was designed to deliver precisely calibrated audio frequencies to each ear independently, producing a third frequency inside the brain through a process called binaural beating. The target was not relaxation. The target was the synchronization of the brain's two hemispheres into coherent, high-amplitude states. States that Monroe's research consistently showed were associated with expanded perception, reduced fear of death, and access to what he called non-physical information environments. His work was taken seriously enough that it was studied by military intelligence researchers. That is documented. That is on record. Now here is where the ancient traditions stop being mythology and start reading like anatomical textbooks. The Egyptian Eye of Horus is one of the most reproduced symbols in human history. When you overlay that symbol onto a cross-section of the human brain, the correspondences are precise enough to make coincidence statistically absurd. The thalamus, the hypothalamus, the pineal gland, all mapped within the geometry of the eye. The Egyptians called it the seat of the soul. They encoded its location in their most sacred symbol, and then reproduced that symbol on every temple wall for 3,000 years. The Vedic tradition named it the Ajna chakra, the third eye, and placed it at exactly the anatomical location of the pineal gland, between and slightly above the physical eyes. The Sanskrit texts described it as the organ of inner vision, the center through which the practitioner perceives what cannot be seen with ordinary sight. This was not metaphor, this was instruction, encoded in symbolic language because that was the technology of transmission available to them. And here is the decode move. Inner light is not a spiritual concept. It is a measurable neuroelectric event. When the pineal gland produces certain compounds under specific conditions, deep meditation, rhythmic breathwork, the threshold states between waking and sleep, the brain generates electrical activity that practitioners across every tradition have described as luminous, as light, as seeing with eyes closed. Neurologically, what they are describing corresponds to documented patterns of high-amplitude synchronized neural discharge. The light the mystics reported seeing was real. It was generated inside the brain, by a gland that responds to magnetic fields, that contains the same magnetic crystals found in creatures that navigate by the Earth's own electromagnetic pulse. You were built for this. The equipment was installed at birth. What was never installed was the instruction manual. And yet the knowledge existed. It was encoded in stone, in symbol, in practice, in the architectural orientation of temples, built to catch specific frequencies of light at specific moments of the year. The mystery schools of Egypt, of Greece, of Mesopotamia, they were not teaching religion in the way that word is commonly used today. They were teaching the operation of the human instrument, and the pineal gland was the crown of that curriculum. Actually, no, let me say that again, because this is the piece that matters most. The traditions that encoded this knowledge were not guarding secrets out of elitism. They were preserving a technology that only makes sense once you have the biological context to understand it. You now have that context, which means the map they left is readable. Right now, by you. And what that map is pointing toward is something that takes everything we have covered, the external field, the heart's broadcast, the brain's magnetic receiver, and places the agency for all of it in a single location. Not in the earth, not in the cosmos, in you. This is the moment everything shifts. You stop being a passive receiver of whatever the world happens to be broadcasting. You stop being a victim of circumstances, of noise, of collective stress fields you never consented to inhabit. You become the conductor. The antenna was always you. Now you know how to tune it. Drop your insight in the comments right now. What landed hardest for you in this episode? This is living research. Your observations genuinely add layers that I bring into the next episode. The deeper curriculum continues from here. What comes next goes further into the practice, the precise states, the daily protocols, the geometry of it all. Stay with the series. The initiation is not over. The signal was never lost. It was waiting for you to remember you were the source. See you at dawn. Drop a comment below. Tell me the first shift you already feel. That signal matters here. And if this series is opening something real for you, stay with it. The next layer is already waiting.